You're really seeing my studio, or my like natural habitat here. This is not tidied up. This is not clean. Okay, so for today, what I thought we would do is take a look at my studio setup, because I realized I have not shared that with you all. I think ever since I moved my studio up to a dedicated space. So I actually used to paint behind me. That is my dining room space. It was nice because I saw it all the time. Like, my paintings were always kind of there waiting for me, and I had to be reminded of that. And I really like this space. I like this kind of living room, dining room space that I'm in. It has a lot of light. It's a place where I enjoy spending time. That being said, I have since moved into a dedicated studio and office space, and there are definite advantages to having that space set up as well. So I thought today we would go ahead and take a look at what that looks like. It is going to be a very authentic studio tour, which is to say that everything's a mess. Look at this adorable animal. Yes, the studio helper. I know you guys have probably seen her before. She has had haircuts probably since then. Fortunately, we have to keep her for her fur short for veterinary reasons, but I still think she's super, super cute. So yeah, she's in one of her studio spots. She has two. She has that little like nest that she's made under the skylight in here, and then she has a little cat bed that's like next to my whole workspace. With that out of the way, let's actually do the intro and give you a look at the whole space. All right, this is it. The whole studio, starting with my little leisure area, if I ever need a break. A very messy collection of books and supplies I don't often use. My desk with my setup for recording voiceovers. Second monitor, which is used as a display for painting references. My tabletop easel, my second set of easels for larger paintings, my backdrop when I'm on Zoom calls. From this angle, these are all my paintings. A couple of the things on the left are prints. And that is the space. And I have a calendar that I have not filled out in the slightest for this month. So from this end, you can kind of see the rest of it. You can see this lovely unorganized area where I have a toolbox and things that I can't fit into any storage space. I am really demystifying what my studio looks like. You all usually get a view that's like so beautifully curated, like right here, and then this camera usually hangs out like, you know, about right here when I'm filming. So and then this is the view I have most of the time. I have a computer from which I check in with my students and do regular work things. A printer that I wish I could throw out the window, a salt lamp for some vibes, and then the rest of my main workspace, including my little plant babies that are kind of neglected. That's why they're all succulents. So let's go ahead and talk about my actual workspace and how this works. So first up, let's talk about this work area. I've got a whole array of brushes behind this monitor. I actually really need to kind of rearrange this to give me better access to those brushes while I'm painting. I might kind of shift them over to the side, I'm not quite sure yet. Got my tank of Gamsol, the palette that's built into my edge easel, a tank of Murphy's oil soap for soaking brushes that have paint dried in them. I have found that this is an inevitability. This is not something that I can plan not to have happen. I just have to assume at some point I will and hope it happens as rarely as possible. Next, I have a little cork board situation with all of my most frequently used colors organized like somewhat rationally. This like kind of fits with the layout that they go onto my palette with. And then I have backup tubes in that little galvanized tin. So I have my browns, an extra tube of white, and that's the worst sound in the world, so I won't open all the other drawers, but in there I have like extra tubes of Viridian, extra tubes of ultramarine. I've got the basics covered. All right, I do have a couple of extra tubes of transparent oxide red and brown, just because those two little guys don't have much paint left, so I've already got their replacements on standby. And then over here, two very important tools: paint extruder for getting out the very last bit of paint from a tube, and then I have my, oh my god, what is this tool called? Pliers, wrench, something for opening tubes of paint, because I always assume that the caps just get stuck on with all the paint. And then additionally, I do have a little thing, a little organizer of safflower oil if I want to just use that as a brush dip between painting sessions. So if I don't want to clean everything out with Gamsol, and we're not at the point where paint has like dried into the brush, I can go ahead and just put brushes in here and they can rest in that oil and not have the paint dry between sessions, and I don't have to spend an inordinate amount of time cleaning up. Okay, and then I have like an IKEA organizer for this desk. It is not the most aesthetic thing in the world, as you can see, but below my desk I have an oily waste can that has you know, any of the paper towels that I've used from a session. I have extra things of Galkid, linseed oil, acetone, Murphy's oil soap. I think I have like Rublev's lead alkyd primer if I wanted to prime some canvases. And then down below I have just some like extra vessels, so empty things for containing mineral spirits or medium, or like I do actually have a turpentine container if I'm painting outside, so that is where those are kept. And then over here I have two containers. One is a thing of Murphy's oil soap and the other is a thing of Gamsol. Down here I just have like shipping supplies, so anytime I need to mail a painting to somebody, I have like my postage scale and packing tape and all that good stuff, along with I also have the backs that go on a lot of these smaller panels. I don't know if I have a panel to show you with those backs right now, but I do have like the little command strips for adhering the backs onto them so that they magnetically attach to my easel. And I also have the other command strips so that I can stick them on the wall. And then back here, that is a box of baby wipes, and then I have extra Viva brand paper towels. Okay, so that is most of my oil painting setup. The only other thing is that I do leave a thing of baby wipes out so that I can keep my hands clean. And I have some Gamsol, or excuse me, some Gamvar gloss, because I feel like my most frequently asked question, no matter how many times I say it, is what is that thing you use or you brush onto the painting at the end? It's varnish, and the varnish I always use is Gamvar gloss. So I do have this out because I was recently varnishing a painting. Okay, so that is like my main workspace. I'll show you a little bit of like the easel setup. I have an Edge Pro Gear easel. I have a video all about this. I've adapted it to have a different LED light, but I do use the primary like little neck to attach the LED to the back of the easel. And I actually configured something similar to be over my wall easel because I just liked it and thought it was convenient, and I don't have good studio lights in this particular room. So that's my main workspace. Over here, I have my work monitor, and I have my my Yeti caster for recording voiceovers. Not too much else to say about like this part of the workstation. Keep bottled water down here because I between talking with my students and talking with prospective students and recording voiceovers, I talk a lot and I need a lot of water to get through my my work day, and that's definitely better than having to leave the studio to make sure I have something to drink. All right, so with that said, got another cat cam. She's looking cozy. You're looking very skeptical. So you're really seeing my studio or my like natural habitat here. This is not tidied up. This is not clean, but this is how it works. This is what it looks like 99% of the time. So at one point I had a pretty decent organization for all the books that I have in the studio. These are just art books. I have like regular books that I read in other parts of the house, but this is exclusively for art. So up here I have my greatest hits, and I'll do a separate video talking all about my favorite art books. So let me know in the comments if you have favorite art books that you think that I'll mention. But my go-tos are all here. I have all of the Richard Schmid Alla Prima books. I have The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. I have The War of Art and like several other books by Stephen Pressfield, and a couple of other books that I just like grab a little bit more frequently. Occasionally these might be like businessy books because this is my business, but all in all, these are like my ride or die art books. Next, I have a series of books on John Singer Sargent and a couple on Zorn. These are kind of like biographical art books. And then we sort of get into like the miscellaneous books. I have like a rough section on anatomy and figure drawing. Oh, the rest of these aren't organized very well. I've had to like rearrange these bookshelves enough that they only occasionally are actually thematically laid out. But I have old notebooks over here. I labeled them when I'm done with what time period that they covered, so that if I ever need to go back and reference something in those notebooks, I have that down. But those are not sketchbooks. Those are notebooks for writing in and doing morning pages and taking business notes and all that kind of stuff. That little cube is where I store canvases small enough to fit in there, or excuse me, panels small enough to fit in there, color charts and scrap panels that I like want to recycle are in the next little cube. I kind of have just spare supplies sitting in each of these, a couple of other things of spare supplies, camera equipment, miscellaneous like medium and varnish type things that I don't use. So I have like adhesive, I have PVA size, I have spray retouch varnish, I have spray fixative. These are things that like, it is possible they might be relevant to me at some point, so I keep them, but I do not use them. And this is complete with a lovely sheet of sandpaper that I use for priming boards if I'm making them myself. And then up here, I have model horses that I sometimes use in still life pieces or as like inspiration or reference for sculpture, which I just do for myself for fun. So I have like a sculpture there in the background that I've been working on in my free time. I have a few extra Sargent books that need to go in the Sargent section, some extra panels that I need to put away in the panel section, a collection of drawing tools that need to kind of find their own organized cube. I need to figure that out, and some finished paintings that I need to stick on my wall somewhere but haven't found space for. And then my little tech corner. This video is gonna have so many people so upset. This is so disorganized. I have my Wi-Fi, I have my Hue bridge, I have my modem, and then I have my media server where I store all of my raw footage from which these videos are edited. And then going back around, after I've had a long day, I like to be able to just plop down in here and like eat up here or just like watch videos on here. So I do have a sofa in my studio. It is separate from like my main living space. And this is just so that if I'm in the middle of a workday and I need to kind of relax, or I just want to think about ideas for YouTube videos, I have like a little space in which to do that. And lately in my free time, I've been working on a jigsaw puzzle because I'm a very cool person. And this last little space is just a collection of things I haven't been able to fit anywhere else, including my toolbox, some like rugs and pillowcases that I use as like a surface for still life pieces, bases that I would use to attach like a wire armature to for sculptures that I'm working on, a couple of old panels that I need to do something with, probably recycle, some new panels that just don't fit in my little panel storage cube. And then over here, I have the master study, which you all have already seen, and then a piece in progress. I work over here when something is too big to fit on that desktop easel. And I have like a couple of surfaces to work on. I have my surface for my palette. I have a surface to put my brushes down over there when I am working from that space. I usually put my laptop down here to show my reference. And then I have a big softbox so that I can make sure this is really well lit when I'm filming. And then last but not least, I have a couple of these weird little things that attach to my desks. I have two of them, and both of them are for holding either my phone or my camera. I have one over on this desk that I used for an Instagram Live a couple weeks ago. And then I have this one, which sits on this stool, and this is usually where this camera is mounted. It gives me a pretty good view of that easel. So in case anyone was wondering what my filming setup looks like, it is not fancy. It is, it's basically that I have that friction arm, my camera or my phone mounts into it. I get it far enough away from the paintings, get everything in the shot, and that's it. Okay. So here is my very authentic, uncleaned studio space. I hope you enjoyed this look at what my like actual working space actually looks like. For reference, I used to work in my dining room. I like never actually used my dining room table for anything, and all of this was just downstairs in a common area. But as you can see, my actual painting space is pretty darn small. Like most of what you see happen for this channel happens just on that desk. I can't fit a bigger easel in this room because the ceiling is sloped and the height just isn't a good fit for most easels. That's part of why I have like a wall easel on this wall, and part of why I like having the tabletop easel. If you are trying to set up your own studio space, I want you to know that you can do a whole lot with very little. Most of the studio space is about like book storage that could totally be in a different part of the house. Most of this storage over here is for things that I don't regularly use, with the exception of the panels, which I could totally put somewhere else. And the whole like extra half of this room is just space for me to kind of relax and maybe like work from my sofa if I wanted to, or just like take a break and eat lunch up here. All right, so that is my studio space. I hope you enjoyed getting a look at what this actually looks like. I think this is important because I talk to a lot of artists who worry that they need to have all of these professional things in their studio before they can even get to painting, or they worry that they shouldn't even concern themselves with painting until their studio is a certain way. And as you can see from my studio setup, like, yes, I have absolutely invested in having like easels that really fit my workspace, and I've rearranged it several times to try and get the best setup possible, but it is not perfect. You know, I don't have like amazing track lighting. I don't have high ceilings. I have a north-facing skylight, but a west-facing window, and that window is where a lot of light comes in, and it isn't perfect. And so I just want this to really kind of serve as permission for you. So long as you have a space that's really inviting for you to come into, and getting started with the painting doesn't involve a lot of resistance. You aren't having to like search for panels or search for the right tubes of paint to put out, or, you know, your brushes aren't right there and clean and ready to go. Getting those things in order is incredibly helpful, and everything else is just an added bonus. So I hope that this really helps you to set up your own studio space in a way that's inviting and helps you get back to it. And with that, I'll go ahead and wish you all happy painting for the rest of this week, and I look forward to catching you in the next one.